Our story is about a guy named Lee, a high school student who has a very strange mental illness. And because of it, he has lived his entire life in a psychiatric hospital. With mental illness affects him whenever he closes his eyes, because when he does, he gets transported to a completely bizarre world. Our story starts in that world. To be specific, inside a cave. And from the looks of the place, it seems these people have no food or water. The poverty has reached its absolute peak. We see one of the inhabitants there, sitting and grinding a strange substance. Just then, a girl starts bothering him, and tastes a bit of what. So the guy hits her hard, and tells her, do me a favor and don't bother me like this, because what you just tasted wasn't even food. It was a medical paste. He doesn't even bother trying to explain because she's stupid and wouldn't get it anyway. We learn from him that the place he lives in is quite literally a museum of deformities. Here absolutely no one looks normal, all because of the harsh living conditions. Suddenly, they're interrupted by the sound of a man assaulting a girl. He's telling her, just let me be with you, just this one time. We're all going to die anyway. I have to take this chance right now. Everyone in the area gathers around, and a huge commotion starts because of what's happening. Our guy gets really annoyed by the noise, and he wishes this delusion he's living in would just end. And that's that. And with the tool he's using, he hurls the attacker and knocks him down. The attacker gets absolutely furious. He yells at him, saying, you must be crazy. You have no idea who I am. But whatever. I'll let the master teach you some manners. The other guy replies, I'm not scared of you. And I couldn't care less about this master of yours. And in the middle of their argument, someone entering the room interrupts them. He says to them, I hope you two are finished. And now, I need the one named Lai and the one named Wang to come, because the master needs them. The attacker laughs and says to him, well, look at you. Go on and see what's coming for you. Maybe this will teach you not to mess with me. Lee listens to the instructions and starts walking with Wang, who is already getting on his nerves at first, and on their way there, Lee thinks to himself. He says, why am I getting so worked up right now? I'm not supposed to let myself get angry, because everything that's happening is physically an illusion, and it isn't real. The annoying girl with him shoves him to get his attention, so he grabs her, annoyed, and says, would you please just leave me alone and not talk to me? If a tatty one, to help you calm down. He takes it from her and puts it in his pocket. After that they arrive at the master's location. They're standing in front of a vessel, a very strange one. The master himself is grinding some ingredients, and he tells them, it's great that you finally arrived. I've been waiting for you for a long time. And suddenly he jumped, and lands right behind the girl, exactly, and he tells her, alright, in front of me, now. He tosses her into the bowl, where he puts his ingredients, and this clueless girl doesn't understand a thing. She just laughs and tells the master, you're so nice, because you're going to give me candy now. And he does give her one, with that press he uses, and literally squashes her into pieces. He tells the servants, what are you waiting for? Bring down the rest of the Lee watches all of this, and says to himself, this is all fake. Just hallucinating, nothing more. But then the master addresses him directly, saying, I heard you hurt. So tell me, is that true or not? Lee falls silent and shuts his eyes, trying to calm the fear inside him. We see the master angrily telling him, you're going to pay for that, and now, I'm going to finish you. But suddenly, we open his eyes and we see him, but on the hospital bed, and he's completely tied down to make sure that he doesn't move. The doctor comes in as soon as he's conscious and starts his report, saying to him, so tell me, what was the hallucination like this time? And Lee tells him, remember that crazy girl I told you about before? Yeah, it was her. The master stood up and destroyed her head and body right in front of me. And most likely, he was using her body to manufacture pills. The doctor writes everything down, and Lee asks him, I just need you to explain these hallucinations to me. How is this all going to end? The doctor reassures him, saying, don't worry, I need you to focus on just one thing. Whenever you're in the hallucination, and that thing is, and there is they, it's not real. And before the doctor leaves, he advises him to always act appropriately within the hallucination, as if it were real. That's the only way he'll be able to get out. Just then, Lee's childhood friend Nana walks into the room, and she tells him, you have to listen to what the doctor told you. Then she goes and sits in front of him. He's absolutely beaming when he sees her. But she says, wipe that annoying grin off your face and focus. I brought you bumbodos from the teachers. Lee sees this as revenge and tells her, you know this is just going to annoy me. So she just smacks him on the head with a book, and says, well, how about that? Lee gets really excited, and takes the game console from her. He says, it's so boring in here. This console is really going to make a huge difference. She says, alright, the most important thing is that you balance your studying and gaming properly. You have to, so you can keep the promise we made. He stands up and tells her, don't you worry at all. I'm going to recover near I'll go to the same university as you. Visiting time would be over, so he decides to walk her home. But just as he's standing there, he feels a strange dizziness, and everything around him starts to change. He begins to see hallucinations for real. Right in front of him, he says to himself, seeing these things right in front of me, when I'm following the doctor's instructions perfectly, I'm supposed to be fine. She gets worried. She asks him, are you okay or what? He replies with a smile, with you, don't worry about a thing. She gets upset with his attitude, and asks him not to pull stunts like that again. Then she leaves him to walk away. He quickly catches up to her. He says, I'm sorry. I was just joking around, that's all. And please stop. She simply turns to him and says, alright, I forgive you. Anyway, what's important is that you get yourself ready for next week, cause I'm coming to see you, and you better be feeling better than you are now. He reassures her that everything will be fine, says goodbye, and heads back to the hospital, and while he's on his way, he thinks, I don't know that these hallucinations I'm seeing are actually real, or not. My condition has gotten so bad that I can no longer tell the difference between illusion and reality. Suddenly, in the middle of his thoughts, he notices something in his pocket, so he pulls it out, and he says, this is the same candy I got from that girl. Even the taste is exactly the same. Oh no, this situation is getting really dangerous. I have to report this. The doctor thinks, but wait a second, since the things I get from my hallucinations actually show up in reality, then this is a chance. A really good one, don't it? He closes his eyes and enters the world again. And there, he talks to the people. He tells them, if any of you have a gold coin or jade necklace, or anything valuable, please bring it to me, since you won't have any use for it. From their reaction, he knows the answer, and he thinks, who am I even talking to? These people. Of course, no one is going to have anything. But suddenly, the girl that he had saved at the beginning calls out to him and says, come here, I have something for you. She takes him to a place that's completely secluded, and takes off a gold anklet that was on her leg, and she tells him, take this, I think it might help you. He takes it and confirms that it's real gold. It is, and he tells her, alright, I'll keep it with me for a while, and I'll return it to you later. He even gives her the candy he still had as a small gift for her help. And as they're talking, we see a group of people watching them. But they're interrupted by one of the master's disciples. He angrily says, everyone, get back to your places, now, and get to work. And this for you is so you didn't become what the master him who is. But and you'll become part of the ingredients too. His attention is drawn to him, to the necklace, and he says, a jade necklace, that's probably it, and since it's so expensive, be able to rest it until it's mine. From there time pass, and we arrive at midnight. We see him leaving the disciples' house after stealing his necklace, since he wasn't there. He says, excellent, if it can get out into the world with this necklace, the truth, then I'll pay all the university fees, and I'll also prove to everyone that I'm not crazy. And right now, the most important thing is just to get back quickly. But wait a second, there are a lot of people in front of me, and this is really weird, because supposedly, this is supposed to be sleeping time. A student appears behind him out of nowhere and says, I need you to talk to me, and tell me right now what you're doing here, especially at a time like this. Actually, I don't need to hear it from you, just come with me now. Since you saw it as escaping, you have to escape from the master, too, that cursed one, and if you don't want to come with us, then you should know you'll die, so you can't report us. He thinks, I have to stay here and try to find out the truth about the master, no matter what. He closes his eyes, and does his special move to save himself. And when he opens them, he finds himself back in the hospital again. He says, awesome, I managed to survive, but the problem is that I'm tied up to the bed again, and most likely, no one is coming for me, and I don't think so. The best decision is for me to go back and find out what's happening over there. He closes his eyes and returns to the exact same spot, but finds that the people who were escaping are gone. So he just gets up and goes back to sleep in their sleeping quarters. But after a day passes, a guy suddenly comes in screaming, everyone who's asleep, wake up right now, because the master has ordered it. As they gathered in the hall, Lee asks why that mangy old man, who might be planning something, but what exactly, and sure enough, they all gather there. The master speaks. He says, now that everyone is here, I want to inform you that yesterday, there were a few who tried to escape. Among them were 2 of my own students. And according to our rules, anyone who makes a mistake must receive the punishment of death. The ones who were caught were the same ones Lee saw escaping. The master shoves them forward and orders the pit to be opened so the cave monster can eat them. Lee says, I can't be afraid, I just can't. This is all an illusion, none of this is real. But suddenly, The monster's arms dies. The person who was right next to him. It's actually real, because I could've been the one who just died. Instead of that person. The master issues a warning. He tells them all. Anyone who thinks I do something I don't like, well, you seen for yourselves. What happens to them? But on the other hand, anyone who helps me achieve immortality. And I ask for you. Why didn't you run away when they offered you the chance to escape? Lee falls silent and tries to fight his fear by telling himself it's all just an illusion, just in his head. But the master grabs him by the head and says, I'm really starting to like you, kid. I have a feeling you've got a great future ahead of you with me. And that's why. In the resource room, Lee says to himself, I'm not that stupid. I know he thinks I'm insignificant. He only made me his disciple, though his other disciple died. Afterwards, the master tosses him a pouch and says, here are 5 pills, a gift from me to you. The pill, each one of them, will add 10 years to your life. And it will also give you immense power for a limited time. And with that, I expect all of you have seen what those who help me receive. And likewise, what happens to those who take me off. So why? These pills must be made from the humans, but the master is actually killing. In the end, time passes, and Lee ends up in the hospital, with everything he's gathered in front of him. He's asking out certain that what was happening wasn't a delusion. But I wonder if it tried one of these pills. Will it really work like the master said, or not? Suddenly, Nana rushes in on him, telling him, I skipped my class and came, running, because of your call. This had better be important, because if this is a prank, I won't spare you. Lee closes all the doors and windows, and Nana asks him, what exactly are you thinking? The surveillance from the earpieces tells her, don't worry, we're monitoring everything, and I am with you no matter what. So Lee gets closer, puts something in her hand, and says to the ones monitoring them, if you would just give us a little privacy and not pay too much attention to us. Nana asks about the necklace she just received, and Lee tells her, just lower your voice, and I'll explain everything. Nana is the most important person, and the only one in this life who might actually believe me. And that's why she has to know every single detail. Days go by. After Lee tells Nana everything, he hears the guards telling him, get ready. Nana is here to visit you. He immediately jumps up and rushes out to see her, all excited, but he finds the hospital guards standing in the hallway. He asks one of them what's going on. The guard tells him, just lock your door and don't come out for any reason. And if you see old man Liu, report it to us immediately, because he took some drugs again. Lee hears this and goes back into his room, wondering how did that old geezer escape. Something's a little weird here. But I shouldn't be thinking about that right now. I just want to see Nana. He does end up meeting her after that. And she tells him, I finally believe you. That necklace and anklet you gave me turned out to be actual artifacts after I had them checked. Lee is overjoyed. He says, this means I'm not crazy after all. And since this is considered an ability I have, not madness, I can use it to make a ton of money. At this point, she tells him, the money isn't important at all. The most important thing is for you to get out of here and get better, and don't you dare stop your treatment, no matter what. He says to her, don't worry, calm down. But suddenly, in the middle of their conversation, the old man, Leo, shows up and attacks. He yells at him, saying, let her go now, don't you dare hurt her. But, completely unexpectedly, a rock is thrown at him, and it knocks him unconscious. In this state, Lei remembers what the master said about the pill, that whoever takes it gains incredible power for a certain period of time. So, right in front of Nana's eyes, he swallows the pill, and we watch as he undergoes some extremely strange physical changes. And with a swift move, he grabs Leo and smashes his head into the ground, telling him, I seem to remember warning you to leave her alone. But since you didn't listen to me, this will be your end. Because of this act, Lee gets locked away in a room designated for the most dangerous patients. He tells them, I didn't do anything. Let me out of here. He was the one attacking. I was just defending myself. The doctor tells him, what you did was not normal at all. Your strength made no sense. Tell me right now, how did you hit him like that? And don't even think about lying to me. Lee is put in a terrible position. He thinks, I don't want anyone to find out the secret of the pills. There's a solution right in front of me. All I have to do is close my eyes and return to the other world. That's much better. And he actually does it. And he's happy because it's a solution, a temporary one for the problem. After that, he goes to see the master, who has gathered all of his disciples. He tells them, now, I'd like to introduce my new disciple to you all. He'll be joining us. And I just need one of you to teach him everything and tell him anything he wants to know. One of the disciples hears the orders and tells him, all right, consider it done. But at that moment, another disciple who is close to the master is sitting there staring at him. in a really suspicious way. That's why when he goes outside, he asks about the one who was staring at him. The disciple tells him, that's the eldest brother, and he's considered the closest person to the master right now. And if you see him, you have to respect him, because of the status he holds, and, try not to cause any trouble with him. He tells him, alright, just tell me what I need to do now. So the disciple tells him, don't worry. Your whole job is simple because it's in the resource room. And by the way, I'm sure you, just like the rest of us, also want to achieve immortality. But you have to know that the master doesn't let all of us achieve it. He only chooses his closest disciple. He's the one who makes it. He eagerly asks him, is immortality for real, or is all this talk just is? So the disciple confirms it for him, and starts explaining again, that the master only takes his absolute closest disciple, so achieve it. Lee says, so awesome, this place. Every time I turn around, I discover even more bizarre stuff here. Then we cut to the place where the master is working. At that moment, he's fusing elements in a totally mind-blowing scene, and Lee just completely forgets about the money he originally came for, and things after seeing this. Because then, in the real world, it will be a huge deal. A really big deal. I have to get this power. The master cuts him off, and tells him, I need you to do something for me right now. Seeing as you've become the one in charge of human. Lee tells him, of course, at your service, just tell me what you need, and I'll get it done. The master says, excellent. I outvote the Hewitt. Woman, bring me to the world with wide hairning. That girl was the kindest one to always hold it. And when the master sees him frozen in place, he yells at him, what are you waiting for? Lee closes his eyes and says, I have no other choice. And with that, he escapes from the world, only to wake up in a hospital, to the sound of his mother beside the doctor, telling him, your head is all bandaged up, what happened to you, my son, and you've gotten so thin. The food at this hospital must be awful. But don't you worry. I brought you some food to eat. It'll make you feel better. He tells her, the food doesn't matter, just stay with me for a little while, I just wanted to see you. But the doctor interrupts and tells her, the family of the old man, that your son beat up, is waiting for you now, to make amends. Lee's mother asks him why. He gets agitated, saying, I was just defending myself, that's all. So the mother tells him, don't you worry, my son. The doctor told me everything. And I am with you. I am here, right here to solve this whole problem for you. The problem. I have to go see them. The most important thing is to listen and take all of your medicine. As she's walking away, you can see the anger on her face. It gets happy and says, I'm sure. Mom will be my revenge for me. And no, I'll go back to the matter to see what's happening. The doctor tries to stop him from closing his eyes. Oh, he doesn't fall back in the hallucinations, but it's too late, he's already back in one. He says, I really hope this thing with the girl Ling finally over, because I can't stand to watch her die in front of me again. Suddenly, the master appears and says to him, excellent, so you finally woke up from that little hallucination state you keep getting into, and don't worry, I brought you a little something. Open your mouth so you can eat it, and once you eat this, you'll eat from the rest of the black box ever so often, the black box. Because through it, Lee refuses the food and says, I'm not sick, so the master says, fine, hold him down, and now, no one is allowed to refuse my request. And now, whether he laid it or not, and eat this food, this heal, and he snaps out of it, waking up to Nana's voice asking him, are you okay or what? In front of him, the doctor is standing there, still partly hallucinating. He tells him, I just can't take it anymore. These hallucinations have gotten way too intense. Please, just get me the medicine that I like, so we can get some rest. He tells him, alright, I'll get it for you, but you have to know, this medicine is a temporary fix. If you want to recover completely, then you have to follow all the instructions I ate. A little later, Nana gives him the medicine, and he says, the water doesn't matter, and he's still hallucinating. He swallows the pill and relaxes. There we go. Everything is fine, as long as I've taken the medicine. Nana asks him about what happened. This time in his hallucination, but he tells her it was something. The old man was feeding me something. And he kept telling me, you have to eat this. Just so your hallucinations will stop. I don't get it. How could he see me hallucinating? When they are basically the source of the hallucinations I get. But suddenly, it's not over for us. The hallucinations. And the gentleman starts talking to him again, saying, very good. A little while ago, you refused to eat, but now, you finished all the food, to the point where you were about to eat my hand. Even, generally, those annoying hallucinations you've been getting will finally disappear. Because at the end of the day, we don't keep sick people on our staff. This is when Lee starts getting suspicious, wondering, what is happening around me? I am starting to feel that flag, the real one, basically. And the world woman, were the hallucinations themselves. I can't comprehend it anymore. My brain has turned to complete mush, and I can no longer tell the difference. He tries to bring out the thing he swallowed, but he can't, and he starts rejecting reality. Reality, he says, I'm sure that I'm here all around. But when he grabs it, he's grabbing at thin air. He screams in anguish, why am I in a place? At the end of this, I just want to go back again. After that, we move on to the next day. Ling is serving Lee his food. He tells her, just a second, tell me about these things you have. How did you get them? Ling tells him, that's weird, he gave them to me yourself, and you even. And while you were doing that kind name point took the opportunity to hit you, and after that, he was trying to finish me off. Lee connects everything, and realizes these events are very similar to what happened with Nana. He asks her to continue, so Ling tells him, how can you not remember? You literally kill. The way to that, Gogo says that he had to hold it well. And he thinks with this look on my face, but I'm not hallucinating. This place really is total one. And that means to killed everyone here. At that moment, the master walks past him and says, why are you spacing out, and why are you so quiet now? He then yells, answer to him when I ask you a question. He makes up an excuse to get out of the situation. He says to him, I was just wondering when I'll be able to reach the level of your strongest disciple. The master laughs and tells him, that's some impressive ambition you've got, but you have to realize, this is not going to be easy at all. You literally need to train a whole lot. It's not just about popping some pills and calling it a day. Besides, achieving immortality is no simple feat. Even I haven't been able to reach it yet. But don't you worry. The path that will lead me to immortality is almost complete. Just a few finishing touches left. This conversation is interrupted by the master's top disciple, who says to him, we need to prepare something. Till, we're already behind schedule. The master tells him, alright. Let's begin now. The disciple then turns to Lee and tells him, don't you dare be late. Go get the girl, the one with the white hair, just like the master ordered, Ija before. And by the way, the only reason we delayed this whole thing, in the first place, was because of those hallucinations you had. But now, we can't afford to delay it any longer, not a second more, because every time there's a delay, the pills that are produced could be negatively affected. The point is, don't be late. Now go, get the girl, and heads to the room. Bumble, human resources. The room is packed with people. Every single one of them is terrified. He chooses Ling. Immediately, he tells her, come with me. And as they're on their way, she tells him, just deliver one message to my family in the mountains. Tell them their daughter has failed them, after they placed all their hopes in me, and that I won't be able to take care of. He says, I can't help you with that. Now speed it up, just a little, because time. So they finally arrive before the master. He's just waiting for the final touch. Lee says to him, here she is, I brought her exactly as you requested. The master says, well done, you truly are a loyal disciple. He pulls her in with his power. He smells the scent blood, and he realizes the blood is coming from her. He gets furious and yells, this ruins everything, because if the ratio, then the formula will be incomplete. He throws her aside and orders her to be sent back to the human resources room. She's useless like this. My plan worked perfectly. I cut myself and put my blood on Ling. So the master would think, and leave her alone. But just then, the master interrupts his thoughts, and tells him, since this girl's useless, one with white hair, too. Lee feels a wave of despair. He thinks, we really thought that's his bad girl. But in reality, take her place, nothing more, and they have realized that as long as the master does keep him away, they'll die, and they'll all die. At that moment, the master finishes making the new pill. He says to Lee, come here. And as a reward, he gives him the freshly made pill. Lee thanks him, and the master says, don't waste time, Cham, following up. Why would it still hot it? That way, it'll be more effective for you. Lee obeys the command, despite how hot the pill is, and how hard it is to swallow. Then, the master says again, excellent. You can go back, rest for a bit. And with time, the pill's effect will kick in, and you'll feel all of its power. For some reason, he listens to him, and sure enough, his power starts to increase, and he says, I don't know what to do. The only way to get any relief from all of this is to kill the master. But how can I possibly do that? He's literally and his power is definitely. At that moment, the pill. He remembers that it came from the human master had brought. Naji comes over and tells him, just try to calm down. You're not to blame for any of this, and from how you treated me. That you're a regular person, and you're not happy with this situation. But what's it that you want to oppose the master? He quickly grabs her and says, keep your voice down so no one hears this. But she reassures him, saying, don't worry. The wandering ghosts. So no one will hear what we're saying. He tries to understand what these wandering ghosts are, but he sees that everyone in the place photos him tightly on them. He tells her, come with me for a second. And they explain what you mean by wandering ghosts. All these ghosts. Basically something that visit the practitioner is one of the practitioners, the higher levels, and you can neither see him nor even hear him. A long time ago, my master taught me. But on the 1st and the 15th of every lunar month, he told me these ghosts disappear. Excellent. But mean that the master on the 1st and the 15th isn't watching us at all. Lin challenges him, asking again if he really wants to go against the master. Like she said, he tells her, of course I do, to tear him to shred, because of everything he has done. She tells him enthusiastically, all right, I'm with you, and I'll help. But suddenly, in the middle of their agreement, someone comes and interrupts them. He tells them, I'm Jiro, and I wanted to offer you these cakes. By the way, I wasn't eavesdropping on you at all. I was just passing by coincidentally and heard you talking. Amount of high hopes of joining you. Because I admire all your ideas so much, he thinks to himself, pretty much walking the same path as that disciple who tried to escape, walk. But there's no way of it can be the same as his. He speaks to Jiro, and he tells him, all right, you can join us, as long as you don't seem afraid of me taking you to the master. And in the days that followed, we learned that Li was still carrying out his duties, and day after day, he continued to send human resources to the master. Right up to the 8th resource. On that day, the master decided to do something new, and he says to Li, I am very pleased with you. Lately, you've been doing your job well. And because of that, they've decided to reward you. I will officially begin teaching you the method of creating a certain type of pill. He introduces him to the ingredients and the method, and Li says, let me write everything down now on my robe, so I don't forget any of the ingredients. Okay, I'm done writing now. So if you could please come and read what you've written yourself to see if anything is missing. The master looks at him with a strange expression, and immediately he kicks him right in the face, knocking him to the ground. Li thinks, why did he just hit me? He didn't even read a single thing I wrote. But wait a minute, I get it. Ever since I came here, I haven't found any writing anywhere in the temple, and all the knowledge that it has between people. But I don't know how to remember it. That's very strange. If he can't read, then who in the world is giving him the information from the Book of Immortality? At that moment, I can't believe what the master is trying to do for you. And in the end, you repay him with insults. He replies, for your information, the master respects me. I just made a mistake as a disciple, and he will forgive me, so get out of my way, so I can go to him. But in a surprise move, a blow that shatters his ribs is dealt, as he's told, who do you think you are, human? All that happens is that the master taught you one single technique, nothing more. Don't you dare think you've become a big shot around here. You'll always be beneath me. Li gets up, and despite the pain, he says, it's obvious, your talent must be pretty weak. Because the master, to this day, still refuses to teach you, even though you've been with him for a long time. The disciple reaches his breaking point, furious, with a terrifying fist. He says, looks like you're going to die today, and smashes him through the wall. Time passes, and the second disciple arrives. He says to Li, why are you so rebellious? Looks like you forgot when I told you not to try and provoke the closest disciple. Li tells him, it doesn't matter. He won't kill me like this, because if one of the disciples dies, the master's public affairs will be affected. Anyway, the master is always watching us with his roaming specters. So if any killing occurs, he will know immediately. The disciple turns out to have no idea about the specters, the wandering ones, basically. So Li thinks to himself, this is weird. Could it be he doesn't know? Wait a second. When he tried to escape, he escaped at a time that was still around. Apparently, all the disciples here are idiots, and not a single one of them has a clue. And since that's the case, they've just found a loophole. The next day, Lee, the defensive had problem with the seer disciple and Fulton. The secret about the wandering ghosts, the wandering ones, and how they aren't around. Both do. If we might to the well, to path is who decided, we definitely sold, if we mention way, but with his own pain. And sure enough, after keeping an eye on him for a while, when the 15th of the month rolls around, he finds that the disciple, the same no one does, so he starts to follow him to the master's house. He thinks this situation is suspicious. The disciple is standing outside, just watching. He most likely brought someone with him to help him on the inside. Unfortunately, the disciple, the assistant, comes out and tells him, I couldn't find the item we needed, and for that reason, they activate a special technique and vanish from the spot. Immediately, Lee seizes the opportunity. He takes advantage of the fact that his close disciple, Termes, managed to break the protective barrier around the master's house. So he thinks, since the master is busy, I'll just head inside and explore the place a little. This place reeks, as if it's full of corpses, and there's nothing there except for a stone tablet with strange symbols on it. Lee says, Bisbo. It has to be the master's book of immortality. But this is weird, the texts on it. They're all so stupid. And it doesn't even mention anything that Sade was teaching me. Suddenly, a girl appears in the room. He tells her, oh, this is perfect. He stayed right there, so it rang. He just laughs at her and says, fine, go get him, because when he gets here, that's actually weird. And I'll tell him you've been deceiving him. This whole time, the girl panics and says to him, how did you know all that? Forget what I was about to do. I'm so sorry. And anyway, you should know that Say was the one who forced to read these strange texts, and I couldn't refuse his request, because he would have punished me, so that's why. So to make think that bit. His phone on my own head. He says to her, no way, impossible. Does that mean the law of the table who died? Maybe could have hesitated it. Which war actually your fault all along. She tells him, exactly, I had to do it. Because as you can see, and if the master finds out I'm useless to him, he'll get rid of me. He finally understands the terrible truth. He grabs it and throws it to the ground, shattering it. He says to her, you fake recipes. They didn't just kill people. No, they also caused them to be eaten. Time passes. The master gathers everyone in the temple and says, I want to know, right now, who did this to my follower, and entered the room while I was away. Fine. It's clear none of you are willing to confess. For that reason, let me do this my way. He terrifyingly approaches two of them and asks, where were you at the time? One says, we were doing what you asked of us. We were just guarding the gate. He leaves them and moves on to the next person, asking him, and what about you? Where were you? At that moment, Lee becomes nervous and thinks to himself, it's over, but her is next. I absolutely cannot let him see that I'm scared. Sure enough, the master goes to him and says, as for you, what did you do after you brought me my special human? Today, Lee tells him, I went back to the supply room again to prepare things for you, the humans that you'll need. After that, he tells him, all right, everyone, did anyone present in the room see Lee today or not? And before you answer, you have to think very carefully. And that's because whoever helps me, I will give them a good reward. Ling raises her hand and tells him, I did in fact see him. He was with us in the room today. He says to her, okay, so there's a witness. As for the rest of you, I wonder, did you see him as well or not? Chiro tells him, I will testify, and I'd like to tell you that this boy did not come to our room even once today. There, I've helped you now. So where is the reward I'm supposed to get? The master yells at him. He says to him, you're a liar because you said he didn't come to the room even once, even though he brought me a human this morning, and that means that he entered the resource room to get it. He says to him, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, I was just being greedy for the reward, and that's why I lied to you. And suddenly, the person who was helping the favored disciple gets caught. The master screams in his face and tells him, you just know. Lurking with that was accused of lying. Get over here right now and tell me what was so funny that it made you smile. He confesses, saying, it wasn't me who did it. The favored disciple forced me to go along with him. The favored disciple immediately makes a run for it, but the master says, I should have expected this from the very beginning. You're the only one who could have removed the barrier on my room and gotten in. Anyway, don't waste your energy running, because there's no way I'm letting you escape. Obviously, he takes out a coin, throws it to the ground, and stomps on it with force, and with that one move, The favored disciples. Limbs are all severed. The disciple begs him, please, forgive me. I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Just, please don't kill me. The master says, don't bother apologizing. Ungrateful for everything I've given you. And because of that, period. Some time passes. The master gathers all of his disciples. He tells them, starting today, now that the favored disciple is dead, this disciple will be the new favored one. Everyone congratulates him on his new position, and the master tells him, follow me. So he's telling me now. Perfect. This will be the perfect opportunity. And finally, getting close to the master, I'll be able to achieve my goal. The master takes him to his house and tells him, I do know how to read. And because of that, I'm going to break the seal on this rock of immortality for you. This rock of immortality, so you can read me. What's written on it? He listens to his words and thinks, that useless girl has been playing the master this whole time. They think she just made up. I bet I can take advantage of this. And to you the same thing. The master says, well, what did you get? Tell me. Everything that's written in front of you. He replies, there's something strange. The rest of it you taught me. To avoid the mentioned here. All that's written. But meaning that or right without a specific time. Thought his old pills. And when you finish, you'll be able to reach immortality. The master says, what do you mean, if that's true? That useless girl has been tricking me this whole time. She's been telling me, actually, this makes a lot of sense. I listened to that girl's words for so long, and in the end, I never achieved immortality. Listen to me carefully, son. I've just realized that girl was deceiving me this whole time. So don't you dare try the same thing, he says. Deceive you? How could I deceive you? I'm just like you. I want to achieve immortality too. The master just keeps circling around him and says, fine. Now, I want you to tell me the training method written before you. And as soon as we've mastered it, both you and I will take some of the outer hills. And in the end, the two of us together will be immortal. After a while, Lee goes to them. He enters the resource room and meets up with everyone. He tells them, I wanted to thank all of you. You all stood by me that day in the hall. Especially you, Crow. You stuck to the plan perfectly. One of them tells him enthusiastically, you're our brother. We'll always help you. And we're going to escape together. He says to himself, how did this even happen? Who would have ever expected that in this strange world, all of these people would become my friends? He turns to address them and says, I need to ask you all for something. It could help us escape. If any of you had information, something like the tip about the wandering ghosts. So I hope he'll tell me about it. Ling tells him, they've got one. The information is about an evil entity, the mountain grandma. He repeats her name in confusion, and she tells him, quiet, don't you dare say that name out loud, or she'll hear you. Anyway, this grandma, her appearance changes from one person to the next. And if you say her name, and she hears you, do you know what'll happen to you? She'll suddenly appear before you, turn him into a mountain grandma. This whole world, serious the weird, even the creatures, are bizarre, and he asks the authors, if anyone has any other information. Grub raises his hand and says, I know some people who the children are trained, athlete, and on the goals. He tells him, dude, that's a really disgusting story. I want something that's actually useful. So, the guy named just speaks up, and he says, there's something called the companion, and it's the weirdest creature. The fish always appears during floods, and there's very little information about it, and yet, he is considered extremely powerful. Lee is taken aback, but one of them cuts him off, saying, I have some information I want to share, too. But Lee tells him, it's better to save it for another time. I have to go now. All of you just stay. Brain. That comes from me. Lee uses all the information he's gathered to make the difficult more difficult. He tells him, based on what's written on the rock, you have to take the mountain grandhouse, and you also have to take the gills from the fish, the companion. The master says, this all actually makes sense, because to achieve immortality, the task can't be easy. And the sacrifice must be of powerful beings, not just mere humans. I never thought of it like that. And now, let's begin the task. By using the bell. Why is he getting a headache just by hearing the sound of the bell? And he thinks that this way, the old man has discovered his trick and started punishing him. But then, he understands when he sees the wandering ghosts start to appear. He says, this isn't normal. This bell was able to summon the ghosts wonderment. And now, the master is eating dirt. To complete the ritual, the master tells him, you should be proud and know what your teacher is like. There is nothing that's too difficult for me. Even the requests written on this rock, I can do them all. Lee says to himself, I wonder what that mangy idiot is planning to do exactly. Most likely, the creatures he summoned will help him. And indeed, the old man says, these beings will help me. Their name is the Wandering Ghosts. And they have a very high talent and ability to reach any creature or place, no matter how far away it is. And it's a tight land. I was able to get my hands on the bell, the one that summoned these creatures. My entire life ever since I was a kid, stealing so many different things. Until finally, I stole the bell, and that's how I reached the position I'm in. Yeah. What I am telling you is, consider it a lesson, so you can understand how the world really works. Because I like you, and I want you to just like me, in the future. He says to him, but until I don't think I can reach your level. The master gets furious and slaps him across the face, and he tells him, you're an idiot. You have to learn. He was the one right in front of you, to reach your goal. Take me, for example. Here I am, standing before you. Everyone used to call me an idiot. They said it was impossible for me to achieve immortality. But that's all in the past now. The time is getting very close. And I'm going to prove to everyone the complete opposite of everything they used to say. As the days went by, Lee had been working on a lie about achieving immortality from the Book of the Rock, just so his words would seem like they were the truth to the master. But on the other hand, the master was completely insane. He had actually managed to gather all the elements necessary for immortality. Lee tells him, all right, then, you've gathered everything. Let's get started. But the other man says, we're in no rush. We're about to start a whole new year, so let's celebrate with dinner first. And sure enough, he takes them to a place for the New Year's celebration, and he has gathered all of his disciples. He serves them dinner and tells them, I am so very happy. About this delicious food. By the way, the former ones who died, of course. So, why isn't anyone eating? Help yourselves. Go on. Reach out and eat. You guys are gonna love the food. He listens to him and forces himself to eat, despite how difficult the situation is. He says last year, with mine and mom, I was so happy with everything. But now, what is happening? I'm literally eating human flesh. The master tells him, as long as you're going to keep crying like that, you might as well eat slowly. Just make sure to chew properly. And by the way, for all of you, take this money and put it under your pillows before you sleep. So it will multiply. The students all thank him. And he says, all of my students must be happy. And even the ones who die have their rewards too. As for you, however, you don't get any money. That's because your reward will be immortality. So we can begin. He actually takes him to the place and begins adding the final touches to the creation of the immortality pill. He tells him, I want you to be the one to try this pill first. And don't worry, if anything happens to you, I'll be right here to protect you. He listens to him and swallows the pill. And he says, yes. Wait, no, the massive surge of spiritual energy. I can't believe it. This is it. It looks like the elder fuzz him. Wait for me. I'll become just like you. After a little while, the effect starts to kick in. And suddenly, because of it, Lee starts coughing up blood and is in agonizing pain. He says, this is it. My plan finally worked. I'm really going to die. And we'll all finally be rid of you. In case you didn't know, this entire time, I've been tricking you. He takes one of the power pills, uses it, and lands a punch on the old man, sending him flying. The elder screams, you won't stop me from achieving immortality, no matter what, and he sends him flying far away. I will hold on to my dream. And I will definitely become immortal in the end. Lee says, this guy is unnaturally obsessed with the idea of immortality, and unfortunately, right now, my stomach is absolutely killing me. I feel like it's all over, that I'm about to die. But wait a second. I'm starting to hallucinate again. It's like it's right in front of me. Look, from a room. The emergency room. The doctor is speaking. He's telling them, this patient has taken a massive dose of poison. We need to get his stomach pumped. Where he's going to decide. Lee says, what a shame. These hallucinations won't even stop. Even though I'm dying right now. But strangely enough, his heart starts to beat again. He wakes up and gets to his feet, and keeps coughing. He says, Cal, it's impossible that I'm alive, because the boys been to. Wait a minute. If I'm alive right now, then that means that scabby old geezer. He looks over at him, and sees a monster, a terrifying one, emerging from the master. It literally ripped him apart. The master says, I suppose this is if I am finally becoming immortal. This is just the final stage, nothing more. But in reality, the monster inside him just keeps expanding more, and more, and more, until he completely explodes. And amidst the rain of blood from his explosion, he notices the skin of the master's face beside him, so he laughs and says, I can't believe it, that scabby old man, finally that, enough is faggots. But he'd be the one to die, while I'm the one who gets to live, to the poet. Because of all the noise, two disciples show up and ask, what exactly is going on? Where is the master now? He tells them, what do you mean, you literally, bet it on him. He's all those. Here it is, they don't believe him, of course, they accuse him of lying, but when he holds the skin from his face in front of them, the true move. He tells them this was supposed to happen all along. The master kill. How those people, and I've been planning to kill him for a long time, but the moment they confirm the master is really dead, they leave immediately. That's because they want to exploit his death. But they're out of the game. A little while later, the bell rings, and he walks into the resource room. He tells them, it's over now, the master is dead. Look, I even have his face with me. And all of you, we're coming back to your homes. That is dope one. A1 and the difference. Nobody can believe it. They all rush after. They start cheering wildly, as if this is truly a day of celebration for them. Hope for life. It's fundamentally returning to them. After all, every single one of them. But they've been fountain with it, for their own death. It's not be a day of celebration. Well, the time has to. The master. They go inside and find three disciples fighting with each other over the book of immortality. Since the master died, one of them maniacally tells another, come on, let's kill these other two and become immortal. We'll take the book for ourselves. But another one tells him, he'd be better off if you don't want to die. We're way stronger than you. You don't stand a chance against this. The guy can't believe it and asks them how could this obsession with immortality buzz us to this degree. Anyway, don't waste your breath. This book doesn't have immortality or any of that crap in it. It's just a bunch of nonsense. Let's all go to one place. Much better. The two guys who were together, they tell him, go on, leave, since you don't want the book. We have to achieve immortality here, and this is our only chance. He tells them, fine. I'm leaving, and you can just see where those backward ideas of yours get you. Now, let's keep going. So we can reach the sanctuary. A little later, as they're finally getting out of the cave, completely. They're all running towards freedom. Ling says to Lee, come with us, why are you just standing there like that? So he hands her a piece of paper, and tells her, this paper, it's your responsibility now. It has all of their last words written on it, what the people said, before the master killed them. All I want, from you, after you get out, is to try and find their families and tell them what's written here. She says, okay, but aren't you planning on coming with us? He tells her, I don't have a home. My only home is the cave. I'll probably just sleep here. He closes his eyes, and actually says, the dorming medicine that I used to get from the master. I know it's not a good thing. But the real Linny, he doesn't leave him at all. And from the middle of the darkness in his life, she tells him, I am not leaving you alone. You have to come with us. And he values to if it even fit in about leaving him here alone. He know, they can help. I have a big house. A really nice one. You could come and live there. The hallucinations return, and he sees Nana, standing in Linji's place, and in the hospital. He lies between life and death, hooked up to the heart monitor. All his loved ones are praying for him to live, but he thinks, excellent. Ifani I'm not going to leave you. At the very least, have to touch you. Nana tells him, don't worry, I'm here with you. But you have to promise me that no matter what happens, you will never give up. You have to live a good life. Away from the hallucinations, Lee is basically hugging Ling. And she tells him, this doesn't look good. Everyone is staring at us, so we should probably get going. And by the way, take this paper back. I can't even read. You yourself are supposed to fulfill your promise to them and deliver their last words to their families. He grabs the paper and says, all right, I am heading out for an important errand now, and I want you all to look for some food while I'm gone. For some food. He walks for a little while. And he says so far. But that's how to tell the moment. But if I don't take them, I'm going to suffer a great deal from these hallucinations constantly. Well, the only place left is But in Master room was saying, to the host, I'll search there. And suddenly the cure is indeed right there in front of him. He says, how are the worms? To do it. It seems like she was looking for the master's remains. The problem is the worst. They're shrinking in size now. And that means that they're somehow directly linked to the master's lie. The master is dead, and most likely, the worms are all going to disappear. I'm not going to just let this happen. I have to feed these worms the master's remains that I have with me. And the most important thing is all of my hallucinations need to go away. And indeed, the worms devour the remains. But with no enthusiasm, nothing is happening. And they just continue to shrink, like normal. He tells me, I won't give up. I have to deal with the worms. Even if they're just going to disappear. Over time. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ling has gathered clothes and food and some other things to help them on their way, and while she was on her way back, she finds everyone gathered around Lee's location. They're saying, this site is completely impossible. If we keep following this monster. Probably. Asks them, what's going on, guys? And suddenly she looks, and finds Lee, eating the master's remains, and some of the worms that were treating him. He says to her, I'm sorry, but these worms were just about to disappear. And I didn't have it. She replies to him, no problem, take this towel and wipe with it, and if you need anything. He tells her, thanks, I don't need it, but there's a place. So he and everyone else go back. And from the silence in the air, he realizes those chickens fly. He enters the room and says, impossible. They're all dead. This is what happens when you search for immortality. No offense, guys. I'm taking this sword from you. Because most likely, you're not going to use it, ever again. And now, I can't just leave this stupid book of immortality here. I have to destroy it, because its existence will definitely cause a lot of problems. He attacks with the sword, but because of the book's hardness, the sword shatters. He says, alright, I didn't expect that. Well, how to since I can't destroy it. And since the sword broke, to take your sword as well. And finally, the time came for all of them to leave. They actually leave, after setting fire to the place they were in. And Lee says, the sun is so beautiful. It's like I'm seeing it for the first time. I wonder what's happening. She tells Ling, unfortunately I can't go. That's because I have an allergy. He cuts a piece of cloth for her with his sword, and tells her this will help. Don't worry. I'll be there with you, and we'll move to the other side together. We go to the forest that's on the way. And there the song to help them hit way through them almost down the bed through. I'll be right there. But suddenly, that scent attracts something to the forest. The son says, what's going on? I feel it. Really terrifying aura in this place. And immediately, the fairy appears. The entire family was terrified and hides. The father says, don't anyone worry, I'll handle this right now. Please, oh ferret. We were just on our way. She replies to him, a completely terrifying way. Answer my question now. And that will test that everything. But you see Ned, as a human find it. The father thinks, what kind of disaster is this? If I answer wrong, my whole family will die. I have a feeling that you're a myth. No, wait a minute, I think you're human. And as time goes on, Lee and those with him arrive at the same place. One of the groups let's just follow the scent. And sure we'll find someone. Okay, how about that house? But wait a second, what is that extremely strange creature in front of us? The one with two heads, one in the front, and one in the back. The little girl from the family tells her father, I'm so scared. More monsters have appeared. Other than the fairy. Hiro snaps back angrily, we're not monsters. We're humans, just like you. He asks calmly, speaking to the fairy, and just who might you be? She retorts, saying, do you see me as human? He tells her, all I see is a pig, as he leaps and thrusts his sword at her. But the physical attack had no effect on her whatsoever. The sword bounces right off. Alright then, he says, it seems this kind of attack is useless. In that case, the bell have with me. Maybe this will work. And sure enough, the bell, it's the fairy's weakness. The moment he uses it, he vows it completely. Then flees the area. When night falls in, the head of the family invites everyone for a meal and thanks Lee. And tells him, take this cigarette as a gift from me to you. Lee tells him, I don't smoke, but I do want to know where exactly we are. And what it was we were just facing. The old man says to him, how can you not know what we face? I mean, you're the one who just killed it. So Lee changes the subject, and says to him, if you have a map to help us, because we're lost. We've lost our way and need to get to where we're going. He tells him, unfortunately, they don't have a map. But my family and it out I he traveled us. And we know. The way well. They're definitely in the home of Sin Avatar. Then rest assured that we just let me know where you're trying to get to. He tells him, I can't tell you. There's no specific place we're going. All of these people, there are homes of art in the same area, so we'll be heading to more than one place. Besides that, but also after the deliver message from the dead to their families. The old man draws him about all the areas around them. He even shows him their current location, Lisa's poster and it. This world, the and yet there isn't even one unified place to the government, and everything is in complete chaos. The old man finally understands. He just needs to go to the Lion Kingdom. That the Ling family is located there. The old man tells him, unfortunately, the kingdom is very far away, and the situation there, because of the war, Ling gets worried. This means she won't be able to reach her family easily, but Li gives her a piece of meat and tells her not to worry at all. I'll get you home. The old man tells him, fine, as long as you're determined to go to the Lion Kingdom, then you'll have to pass through Jian Town first. And since that's going to be part of our route, then we can definitely help you. One of the guys chimes in and says, my family is in that village, and the people there will help us if we need anything. And just like that, Lee puts his plan together. He knows what to do. He says, perfect. Alright everyone, we're heading to our first destination, which is Jian Town. But of course, the journey isn't going to be easy, because the evil spirits are still all around them, and they'll be joining them for this entire trip.